Hey everyone, this is Kyle with The Technical Accountant. Today we're going to cover an absolutely awesome topic. I can't wait to get into it. Building financial statements in Excel, specifically an income statement and a balance sheet. There's a lot of fancy financial reporting tools out there. What we do today, we'll kind of give some of them a run for the money. Excel is fantastic. We're going to do a lot of cool stuff. Even if you're not here to learn how to build financial statements, if you just want to see some cool stuff done in Excel, you come to the right place. We're going to get into SumIfs, SumIf statements, concatenate statements, formatting dates using formula statements, if statements, case statements. We'll use some drop-down lists. We'll build in some check footers. Going to be fantastic. So I will talk no more. Let's get right into it. And don't forget, as always, everything we cover today will be available for download in the links below. So this would be a really useful one. You have yourself a set of financial statements if you really choose to do so. Plug and play with your own numbers. Very cool stuff. Let's go. Now to set the stage here, you see we've got a couple tabs at the bottom. We'll have our balance sheet, we'll have our income statement, we have our GL trial balance. All the financials that we're going to build today are based off a trial balance. Every accounting system in the world, I don't care if you're doing your financials in Excel even, it's very easy to produce a trial balance. So that is definitely the way to go. That's what we're going to use today. So we have a trial balance tab here as well as our GL account master. You'll see my balance sheet I've already kind of set up. I already know how I want this to look. I want my current assets, my cash, my inventory, other assets, go down to my liabilities. I have my skeleton for my balance sheet already created. Now what we're going to do here isn't some crazy minded Frankenstein we're going to put together. It's very simple formulas to populate this balance sheet automatically. So let's go take a look at our trial balance. It's just a regular trial balance that comes out. I've got all my GL accounts. I've got the balance of each account. I ran this trial balance as of period 5 for my fiscal year 2023. Basic trial balance. What I want to pull in from the GL account master though are going to be my categories. So you'll see these match my balance sheet buckets. So that is key here. Every GL account that we have in the trial balance, in the GL account master, this is where we're denoting how it's going to be mapped to our financial reports. So you recognize some balance sheet accounts here. If you scroll down a little bit further, you get into the P&L accounts, sales returns, cost of goods sold. The mapping starts with the GL account master in the trial balance. So using our trial balance, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to pull over some of that information that we need from the GL account master, just using a basic XLookup statement. If you haven't seen an XLookup, go check out some of the other videos. But XLookup, what I want to pull, let's go pull my full GL account. All right, I want to go find it from the GL account master. And for this, I want to pull over the category. There we go. We're going to drop that down. And then we're going to do the same thing for the account type. The account type will tell us whether or not it's a balance sheet or profit and loss account. So let's go XLookup. Again, I want to go pull my GL account. Let's go pull the corresponding match from the GL account master. And here I'm pulling the posting a type, which tells me balance sheet or profit and loss. Perfect. So what's most important here is, again, I'm going to have every GL account with its associated bucket for these reports. And we're going to pull in the balances using a SumIf statement. So let's go SumIf. It says our range. Well, what do we want to go and look in SumIf met? Let's go back to our trial balance. I want to say, let's look at the account category, comma. The criteria is going to be that it matches cash, comma, and then what are we going to sum? Well, that's going to be our balance here, column K. Close it. And now what this does is it says, okay, give me every single GL account that's in this account category of cash and show it on this line. Very easy. And we can go and check that out, 615, 518. Let's take all of our cash accounts, 615, 518. Where this is cool, and this is very maintainable, is check this out. If I just copy this statement, copy it down, now each one of these, it says, okay, well, let's do the same formula basically, but let's go look for short-term investments. Let's go look for accounts receivable. So very easy to do. I'm not creating a bunch of crazy formulas. So let's keep this going. Let's go down to work in process, tangible assets, other assets, and let's even go all the way down to the liability section, long-term debt, and our stockholders' equity. So right there, that is every single GL account balance instantly brought into a balance sheet from a trial balance. Let's do a little cleanup here. I only want the dollar sign to show in the first row. Let's format these just as basic numbers. All right, fantastic. Now let's go ahead and create our subtotals here. I prefer just to use the auto sum function. Very easy, click of a button. You'll see it does it automatically for us. Total assets, we're going to go ahead and put this formula together. We're just going to sum every single subtotal we have above. 1, 2, 3. Total assets, $3.8 million. Let's keep it going. If we did this correctly, as everyone knows, our assets and our liabilities and stockholder equity should all balance. We shall find out. Equals sum 1, 2, 3. And you see it doesn't. However, you'll notice our current year-to-date profit and loss is showing as 0. We need to go look at this formula. So instead of this SumIf going and looking for current year-to-date profit and loss, which doesn't make any sense, you're not going to find that on an account level. What we need to do is we need to sum all of the profit and loss accounts. So let's rewrite this. So let's go equals SumIf. Let's go over to our trial balance. We're going to SumIf account type, comma, criteria is profit and loss. And if that criteria is met, then what are we going to sum? We're going to sum the balance column here. And before I hit enter, let me scroll down. So you see profit and loss is tabbed on all of these P&L accounts. All right, so let's hit go. There we go, 238. So now we have all of our assets matching our stockholders' equity. One thing you might have seen there before it went away is we can build in check figures. So doing this in Excel is nice because you can use any sort of check figure that you want. What we've created here is just saying if the assets do not equal the liabilities, throw us a big red message. So let's see, if I take out one of these rows here, bam, look at this, check figure assets do not equal the liabilities plus owner's equity. And breaking this down, basically we're saying if H27 and H50 are equal to 0, show nothing. And if that's not the case, show this big message here, check figure assets do not balance. So very cool what you can do with Excel here, check figures. Some other formatting we can do in this report to make it look like a finished polished financial report. You see up here I just have TTA LLC balance sheet. I don't have a as of date. You know, when you run a report, you want to know, okay, what numbers am I looking at as of what date? Very easy to do here. So let's go with equals, concatenate. And I'm going to do balances as of period, space, comma, and then from our trial balance numbers, which we have in our first row here, let's just go period 5, just linking that directly. Simple, period 5, depending on who your audience is that's getting this report, that may be enough. If you want to get fancy though, I'm going to throw in another formula here. Again, I won't break this one down because it kind of takes a little bit of time to put together, but this spreadsheet will be available for download. You will have this at your fingertips at a later time. So I'm actually just going to throw in, instead of period 5, we can throw in the actual last date of the month for period 5. And bam, there we are. Basically what I'm doing is I'm using a text formula here to say, go pull the last date of the month for period 5, and then format it month, day, day, year. Sorry, that one's kind of a long one. All right, also for our column here with all of our numbers, Let's go ahead and let's put the month here. This one a little easier to do and discuss as writing it, but I'm just going to go text. Let's go date, and I want to go pull from our trial balance. It's asking for the year, comma, it's asking for the month, comma, and then I'm just going to throw in an arbitrary date. Let's just use 1. Now, how do I want to format this date? Well, let's just go MMMM, which tells me to format it like a written out month name. So there we go. And let's just go ahead and pull the year also just directly from the trial balance. So there we go. So we got May 2023, balances as of 5/31/2023. We get a pretty good looking balance sheet at this point. The last thing I want to touch on here is let's make sure that this thing prints properly. It is what it is. People are always printing financial statements. They can't help themselves. So you see, clicking down here on the page break preview, I can drag my hard blue lines to basically fit to my report. Also, depending on how large your balance sheet is, you might want to make sure that your page break is in the right place to do that. You just highlight the row that you want to add the page break to. Let's go to page layout, breaks, insert page break. So now again, when I print this report, you see page 1, page 2, boom, magic. Simple balance sheet, very easy to create. Now let's go a little bit more clever. Balance sheets usually pretty cut and dry. You don't need to see a whole lot there, but when you go to income statements, you might want to break that income statement down. Okay, well, here's our entire income statement for the whole company, but let me be able to toggle this down and say, okay, I want to see the income statement for the accounting group, the sales and marketing. However you can slice and dice it with your chart of accounts, you can build that slicing and dicing into your income statement. Now, how we're going to do that is using a report parameter that we're going to set up here. So when you're running out of a financial reporting application, this is pretty typical. You want to run this report, and then you want to pick your criteria for what actually shows a report. Again, same thing we can do with Excel. To do that, we're going to build this little section here for the report parameters. One of our chart of account segments is the division. So that's what I'm going to build into this income statement. Now I could just manually type these in, say, okay, anytime you want to run this, type in 000, type in 100, whatever the number is. Now let's think about ways that we could dummy proof this. Let's think about the end user experience. We don't want them to manually type in a number. They might mistype it and have no idea why it's not pulling up numbers. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a lookup list of all of our division options. So I've already done this. I basically went through and said, okay, here's all the divisions in my chart of accounts, 0 through 600. I just made a listing. I do this on a separate tab because when I'm done here, when I want to hand off this Excel sheet to an end user, I can do that with that tab hidden. So I can utilize this lookup information without them even knowing it's there. So for now, let's go ahead and add it back in here. So lookups. So now that we have our lookups listed, our division numbers listed, back on our income statement, let's go ahead and let's use a data validation tool and make this a lookup list. So data validation, I'm going to say list. Let's go to our source. I want to select everything in this listing. And there we go. We have a dummy proof divisional listing. So if I select 000, you see my numbers here will update with 000. Also, let's be smart about this. Okay, when they select 000, I want them to know what the actual name is. So using a XLookup here, go look for 000, look in column A of my lookups tab, return the result in column B. There we go, corporate. If I select 500, you see it updates to consulting training, you get it. To make this magic happen, on the last report on our balance sheet, we basically did a SumIf. Our SumIf requirement was basically if the account category for this account was cash, pull in the balance. So with the income statement, we're getting a little bit more crafty. I'm now saying that I want the balance to come through if it matches the sales, if the account category is sales, plus if it matches my division up there. Now to do that, we're going to use a SumIf SumIf statement. So a SumIfs statement is a little more convoluted than a SumIf statement. So to spare some time on this video, we'll go into it in another video. I went ahead and pre-wrote this, but basically what it does is it's saying, okay, what do you want to sum? In this situation, I was summing column K on my trial balance tab, which was the balances. It says, what's your criteria range. So I'm looking at column L, which is going to be the category. And it says, what's the criteria? Well, I want it to go match sales here. Now my second SumIf statement here is column E. Column E is the division from the full account number. So 000 in this situation. So now if the division of this account is equal to K2, which is my parameter here, I want to return the value. So again, you see right now with 000 selected, I've got 1773. If I change it to 300, there are no accounts that have both sales and a division of 300. So therefore it returns 0 results. One last thing we want to factor in here is that I have all of my entities listed here, 000 through 600. Well, let's talk about the scenario if I'm the user and I want to run just my income statement for my entire business. All. So that's why you see that I added an option here for all. So I added that over here in the lookup list, all. And that's why it's an option here. But to make that work, basically what we're going to do is we're going to go back and say if the value is all, let's just go use a regular SumIf statement, basically totally disregard this field. So SumIf if the account equals sales and this says all, show everything. If one of these values is selected, let's make sure we only show the results for this particular entity. So it sounds a little complicated, but it's not. So let's go equals if. Let's go K2 equals all. We just basically want to do that typical SumIf statement. So let's go SumIf. Well, what is our range? Just like we did with the balance sheet, our range here is going to be column L. What is our criteria? The criteria will be if it equals this row, sales. And then what are we summing? Again, as always, we want to sum the balance. And then let's close this. So that's our value if true. If value is true, if K2 equals all, just give us a regular SumIf statement. Now let's go ahead and put it in the comma that it's asking for. If it's anything other than all, let's go do the SumIf statement where it has to meet both criteria, the sales category as well as the entity that we've selected in the drop-down list. So there we are. So let's see if this logic works. So if I set this to all, you see just this one updates, nothing else is factored in all yet. And if I go select anything else, you see it updates. So fantastic. So let's go ahead and copy this formula down to all the other rows. There we are. Now lastly, we want to do, let's make this a beautiful income statement. If I select 100 here, first off, let's make sure this whole report parameters does not fall into the print area if it's printed. So you see I've already dragged my hard blue line away from the report parameters. So that's good. So if I'm the user that's printing this report, well, if I select entity 100, it should show somewhere that this is entity 100. So we're just going to do a concat statement. And in this situation, very basic. So let's go entity, colon, space. Let's go select our label for entity 100. Close it out, entity administrative. If I change this to accounting, I change this to all, you see all of the numbers update. So actually the numbers are not updating. That's completely fine. Brings us to a good point. You notice when I dragged down the formula earlier, I had K2, I copied and pasted the formula, went down here. You see it went to K3, it went to K4. Well, there's nothing in K3, there's nothing in K4. So when you copy and paste formulas, if you do not use the dollar signs, the absolute dollar signs, which you can also shortcut with hitting F4. If you do not have those absolute values in there, it'll copy down. It'll go to K4 because I'm going down 2 lines. But with the dollar signs, you'll see the K2 is sticking. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy that all the way down. All right, now we're back to working financials here, all updating. You'll see our entity up top is updated. Let the user know which report which entity they are generating this report for. Last thing to point out here, let's talk about a check figure. So on the check figure for the balance sheet, very easy, right? It's just saying assets do not equal liabilities plus equity. Very easy to put in here. In this situation, a little bit different. Your check figure is actually that it matches a balance sheet. So what I'm doing here is I'm saying, let's take the net income line and let's make sure that it matches the current year-to-date profit and loss line from the balance sheet. And the reason I didn't just say, okay, let's go say H30 from the income statement equals H47 from the balance sheet, it's because what if the balance sheet changes? What if I add rows? What if I remove rows? All of a sudden I have to remember to go and update my formula. No, so what I actually did here is I'm using an XLookup to say, okay, well, regardless of where that line is on the balance sheet, current year profit and loss, go and find that value, compare it to H30. If those two numbers are the same, show me nothing here from my check figure. If those numbers are different, again, throw the big red error message, check figure, net income does not match what the balance sheet says. So that wraps this one up. Again, we just created very good, automatically updating, easy to maintain financial reports using nothing but Excel. Where you could go from here, I guess, is using a tool like Power Query to automatically pull in the trial balance numbers. We kind of copy and paste them from our accounting system. But using Power Query to pull those numbers in, very easy to do. We'll go into that in another topic. But that aside, I mean, these reports will look just as good as what you get out of a dedicated financial reporting system. Again, very easy to maintain, very easy for the users to use. I love them. I'm very curious to know what you think about this video. So please let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up, very helpful, and consider subscribing as well. And don't forget, this spreadsheet is available for download. So everything that we created today, all the formulas, these balance sheet, this income statement, this is basically plug and play if you like to. Put in your own numbers and you get yourself a set of formatted financial statements available, download in the links below. If you have ideas for other topics that you'd like to see me covered, certainly let me know in the comments below. Also at thetechnicalaccountant.com. I'm Kyle with The Technical Accountant. I hope you enjoy this. We'll see you on the next one.